I never thought I'd hear those words. Grandma, you're just a burden. I'm selling your house tomorrow. Even now, they echo in my chest like a blade twisting deeper every time I breathe. But before that day, before my world shattered, I truly believed my grandson had come to help me. Before I go on, let me ask you, where are you watching from? A small town like mine or a big city far away? Tell me in the comments. And if stories about family struggles touch your heart, please subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. I'm Margaret, 70 years old, widowed for almost a decade now. My husband George built this house with his own hands. Every corner still carries his touch. The wooden porch swing he hung, the roses he planted by the fence. After he passed, I tried to keep the house alive. But the years wore me down. My knees ache on the stairs, and even dusting the shelves feels like climbing a mountain. When my grandson Tyler called, saying he wanted to move in and help, I thought my prayers had been answered. "Grandma," he said over the phone, his voice warm, "you shouldn't have to do everything alone. Let me stay with you. I can mow the lawn, run errands, be there for you." I nearly cried with relief. The thought of footsteps in the hallway again, of laughter filling the empty rooms, was more than I dared hope for. Tyler arrived with a backpack and a smile that reminded me of the little boy who once chased fireflies in my yard. "Grandma, you look amazing," he said, hugging me tight. "This place hasn't changed a bit." I cooked us dinner that night. Meatloaf, his favorite when he was a child. He ate every bite, telling me about his college classes, his dreams of starting a business, the struggles of making rent in the city. "Don't worry about money now," I told him gently. "You're safe here." His smile widened. "Thanks, Grandma. You've always been the best." The first weeks felt like a blessing. He carried in the groceries, fixed a broken step on the porch, even surprised me with flowers once. I told neighbors at church how lucky I was. Mrs. Jenkins said, "Margaret, you're blessed. So many kids forget their elders these days. Tyler's a good one." I believed her. I wanted to believe her. But little things began to trouble me. One morning, I caught him leafing through the drawers of George's old desk. "What are you doing, Tyler?" I asked. He jumped, then laughed. "Just curious, Grandma. Didn't mean anything." Another time he came home late, reeking of alcohol, muttering about money problems. "Don't worry," he said quickly when he saw my concern. "I'll figure things out. You won't even notice." I tried to brush it off. He was young. Life was hard. Surely he was just finding his way. But sometimes when he looked at the house, the walls, the old photographs, I saw a hunger in his eyes that chilled me. Still, I pushed the doubt aside. He was my grandson. My blood. And I wanted so badly to believe he was here for me. Not for something else. The first few weeks with Tyler under my roof felt almost normal. He carried the laundry basket up the stairs, fixed the loose hinge on the kitchen cabinet, even joined me at church one Sunday. Neighbors smiled at us, whispering, "What a blessing to have such a caring grandson." And I smiled back, though in the pit of my stomach something small and unsettled stirred. It started with little questions. One evening as I washed dishes, Tyler leaned against the counter, drying a plate. "Grandma," he said casually, "how much do you get from Social Security each month?" I frowned, surprised. "Enough to manage, Tyler." "Why do you ask?" He shrugged, giving me that boyish grin. "Just curious. I worry about you, that's all. Don't want you stressing about bills." I chuckled softly, though unease prickled my chest. "I've managed this long. Don't you worry." A few days later, I found him flipping through old mail on the hall table. "Looking for something?" I asked. "Yeah, just wanted to see if you got any statements from the bank. You know, checking on your accounts." I stiffened. "That's not your concern, Tyler. I can handle my finances." He raised his hands in mock surrender. "Of course, Grandma. I was only trying to help." But the way his eyes darted to the desk where George kept our papers told me otherwise. That weekend we sat on the porch, rocking slowly as the sun set. Tyler sipped soda, his eyes scanning the yard. "This place is big, Grandma. A lot to take care of. Don't you ever feel it's too much for you?" I smiled faintly. "Sometimes, but it's home. Your grandfather built it." He nodded, then tilted his head. "You know, houses are selling fast these days. You could get a fortune for this one. Move into something smaller. More comfortable." I set my glass down. "This is my comfort, Tyler. I won't leave it." For a moment his smile faltered, then quickly returned. "Of course. I was only thinking about you. That night as I climbed the stairs, I paused by George's photo. His steady eyes looked back at me. "Did you hear him, Robert?" I whispered. "He's talking about selling our house." The silence pressed heavy on me. I shook my head, brushing the thought away. Tyler loved me. He was only thinking ahead. At least that's what I told myself. The next morning, Tyler came down with his laptop, grinning. "Grandma, check this out." He turned the screen toward me, showing online listings of condos. "Look how modern these are. No yard work, no repairs. And cheaper utilities." I forced a smile. "They're nice, Tyler. But they're not home." He leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Grandma, think about it. You'd be safer. And if we sold this place, we'd have so much extra money." "We?" I asked softly. His eyes flickered, then he laughed too quickly. "I just mean you'd have more money." Sorry, bad wording. But the word stuck in my mind, heavy as a stone. We. That evening, I sat alone at the kitchen table, running my fingers over the grain of the wood George had sanded years ago. I wanted to believe Tyler cared. I wanted to believe his questions, his suggestions were born from love. But the more he spoke, the more I felt like he wasn't seeing me at all. Only the house. Only the money. And still I told myself, he's family. He wouldn't betray me. A few nights later, I woke to the sound of muffled voices. At first, I thought it was the television left on, but the glow from the living room was dark. I slipped on my robe and crept toward the sound. It was Tyler, on the phone, his back to me. "Yeah," he whispered. "She's still here. Don't worry. Once I convince her, the house will be on the market in no time." My breath caught. He paused, listening, then chuckled. "Of course it's worth a fortune. Old place, big yard, good neighborhood. She doesn't even realize it. I'll handle it. Trust me." I pressed a hand to my chest, the world tilting around me. I stepped back quickly before he could turn and see me. In my bedroom, I sat on the edge of the bed, trembling. Convince her. Put the house on the market. I thought of George's roses outside, of his hands building the porch step by step. The life we had built together. And my own grandson was planning to sell it out from under me. The next morning, Tyler was cheerful as ever, flipping pancakes. "Morning, Grandma," he said brightly. "Sleep well." I forced a smile. "As well as I could." He set a plate in front of me, his grin too wide. "Listen, Grandma, I've been thinking. Maybe we should meet with someone, just to talk about options. Realtors, financial advisors. You don't have to decide anything now. Just hear them out." I studied his face. The eagerness in his eyes wasn't concern. It was hunger. "I'll think about it," I murmured. That afternoon, when he left for class, I wandered into the study. On the desk, his notebook lay open. I hesitated, then flipped through the pages. Scrawled numbers filled the margins with words that made my blood run cold. Listing price. Commission. Mortgage payoff. At the bottom of the page, a rough sketch of our house. Next to it, a figure circled 3 times. $450,000. My knees nearly buckled. He wasn't just thinking. He was planning. When Tyler came home, I hid the notebook quickly and tried to act normal. But every word out of his mouth felt poisoned. At dinner, he leaned back in his chair. "Grandma, don't you ever get tired? All this space, all this work. Wouldn't you rather rest? Live easier." I set my fork down, my voice shaking. "This is my home, Tyler. Your grandfather built it with his hands. I will not leave it." For the first time, his smile slipped completely. His eyes hardened. "You can't live here forever, Grandma. Sooner or later, you'll have to let go." That night, I sat by Robert's photo, my hands trembling. "Robert," I whispered, "I don't know what to do. He's our grandson. But he's planning to sell the only piece of you I have left." Tears blurred the frame, his steady eyes looking back at me. And for the first time, I felt something colder than grief. Fear. The morning after Tyler's cold words, I could barely hold my coffee cup. My hands shook so badly the porcelain rattled against the saucer. He was already gone for class, so I wrapped my shawl tight and walked down the street to the one person I trusted. Mrs. Carter, my neighbor and oldest friend. She opened her door, her eyes widening when she saw my face. "Margaret, what's wrong?" I sank into her kitchen chair, tears spilling before I could stop them. "It's Tyler. He says he wants to help me, but he's planning to sell my house." Mrs. Carter's lips tightened. "Your house? But why would he?" I slid his notebook across the table, the page with the listing price circled. Her eyes widened as she read. "Oh, Margaret," she whispered, "this isn't help. This is theft. You need to protect yourself." My voice cracked. "He's my grandson. My only family left." Mrs. Carter reached for my hand. "And that's why it hurts so much. But you can't let him take what George built for you." When I returned home, Tyler was waiting on the porch, his arms crossed. "Where were you?" His tone was sharp, almost accusing. I forced a calm smile. "Just visiting Mrs. Carter." His jaw tightened. "You don't need to go telling neighbors our business." "Our business?" I asked softly. "Or your plans for my house?" For a moment the mask slipped. His eyes flashed. "Don't make this difficult, Grandma. You'll thank me one day." That evening he set a stack of papers on the table. "Look," he said, forcing a smile. "These are just drafts. Agreements. Nothing binding. Just take a look." My stomach churned as I flipped through. Realtor contracts. Authorization letters. My name already typed neatly on the lines. "I won't sign these," I said firmly, pushing them back. His smile froze. "You will, Grandma. Maybe not tonight. But you will." Later, after he slammed his bedroom door, I sat in the darkened kitchen with Robert's photo beside me. "Robert," I whispered, clutching the frame, "he's tightening the noose. I can feel it. If I don't act soon, everything you built will be gone." The silence of the house pressed down on me. For the first time I thought of leaving. Not because I wanted to, but because staying might mean losing everything. But then I remembered Mrs. Carter's words. "Protect yourself." And I knew I had to fight. The next morning, Tyler acted as though nothing had happened. He cooked eggs, humming a tune, flashing his easy grin. But when he slid the plate toward me, his words chilled me more than the coldest wind. "Grandma," he said smoothly, "a realtor is coming by this weekend. Just to look around. No commitment. Don't make a scene, okay?" I stared at him, my fork frozen in midair. He smiled wider. "It's for your own good." And in that moment I realized the boy I once rocked to sleep was gone. In his place was a man who saw me not as family, but as an obstacle in his way. Saturday morning I woke to the sound of a car pulling into the driveway. Peeking through the curtains, my heart sank. A well-dressed woman stepped out, carrying a leather folder. I turned and there was Tyler, grinning like a salesman. "Grandma, this is Miss Lane. She's just here to take a look. No pressure." I forced a smile, but my chest tightened as the realtor's eyes swept over the house. "Lovely place," she said warmly. "So much character. Buyers love that. Shall we take a tour?" Before I could speak, Tyler was already leading her inside. I followed as they walked room to room. Tyler gestured proudly as though the house were already his. "Original hardwood floors," he said. "Big backyard, plenty of natural light." My throat burned. These were George's floors, he polished them every spring. That yard was where we planted roses together. "This is my home," I said firmly, my voice cracking. "I'm not selling." Miss Lane glanced at me, startled. Tyler quickly laughed it off. "She's just nervous. Change is hard, you know." But when his eyes met mine, they were cold. After the realtor left, Tyler closed the door with a snap. "What was that, Grandma? You embarrassed me." I stood tall, though my knees trembled. "I told you, I am not selling this house." His jaw tightened. He stepped closer, lowering his voice to a sharp whisper. "You can't live here forever. The place is falling apart. You need money. And I need stability. This house solves both problems." Tears filled my eyes. "It's not your decision, Tyler. This is my home. Your grandfather's home." His expression hardened further. "Then maybe you're not thinking clearly anymore. Maybe it's time someone else made the decisions for you." That night, I locked my bedroom door for the first time in years. Sitting on the edge of the bed, I whispered to Robert's photo, "He's not just pushing anymore. He's threatening. What if he forces me? What if he finds a way to make me sign?" The silence gave me no answers, only fear. The next morning, Tyler acted as though nothing had happened. He poured coffee, humming, smiling too wide. "Grandma," he said lightly, "I know yesterday was stressful. But once the house sells, you'll see, it'll all be for the best. You'll thank me one day." I stirred sugar into my cup, my hand shaking. "And if I don't thank you?" His smile didn't falter. "You will. Sooner or later." The words hung heavy between us, darker than any silence. That afternoon I walked to Mrs. Carter's house again. I told her everything, the realtor, the threats, the look in Tyler's eyes. She listened, her face pale. Margaret, this has gone too far. You can't face him alone anymore. You need help, legal help. I nodded slowly, fear gripping me. But he's family. My only grandson. He squeezed my hand. And he's willing to destroy you for money. Blood doesn't excuse that. Walking home, the sun dipped low, shadows stretching across the porch George built. Inside, Tyler sat at the table, flipping through his notebook, numbers scrawled across the page. When he looked up, his smile was gone. Grandma, he said evenly, you're just a burden now. And whether you like it or not, this house is going to be sold. My heart stopped. Because for the first time he had spoken the truth out loud. That night I barely slept. Tyler's words, you're just a burden, this house is going to be sold, rang in my ears like a curse. By dawn I'd made up my mind. I couldn't face this alone anymore. I walked back to Mrs. Carter's house, my breath fogging in the cold morning air. She opened the door before I could knock twice. You look pale as a ghost, Margaret. Sit down. I need help, I whispered. Real help. Legal help. Mrs. Carter nodded firmly and scribbled a name on a scrap of paper. Laura Briggs. Retired detective. She helped my cousin with a property scam once. If anyone can see through Tyler's tricks, it's her. Laura's office was small, tucked behind the post office. She was in her 60s, sharp-eyed, with a voice that carried authority. What brings you here? She asked. My hands trembled as I laid Tyler's papers on her desk. The realtor drafts, his notebook with the circled numbers. She scanned them quickly, her lips tightening. This isn't care. This is calculated. He's preparing to transfer the property whether you agree or not. Tears blurred my vision. He's my grandson. I raised him after his father died. How could he do this? Laura leaned forward, her eyes steady. Because greed eats people alive. Margaret, listen carefully. Do not sign anything. Not a single page. Keep every document, every text, every word he says. And if he pressures you again, record it. I swallowed hard. You think he'll push that far? Her gaze didn't waver. From what I see, he already has. That evening when I returned home, Tyler was waiting on the porch. Where were you? He demanded, his eyes narrowing. I forced a smile. Just out for a walk. He studied me for a moment, suspicion in his eyes, then shrugged. Well, good. You need the exercise. Inside, as he carried on like nothing had happened, I felt Laura's words echo inside me. Gather proof. At dinner he struck again. Grandma, he said smoothly, I've been thinking. Maybe we should stop dragging this out. The sooner you sign, the sooner you can relax. I'll handle everything. No more stress for you. I kept my face calm, but inside my hand brushed the small recorder Laura had given me, tucked in my pocket. I'll think about it, I said softly. He leaned closer, his voice low. Don't think too long. You're not getting any younger, you know. The recorder caught every word. That night I sat at Robert's photo, the tiny device blinking red in my hand. I have proof now, Robert, I whispered. Proof of what he's doing. I won't let him erase you. I won't let him erase us. Tears slid down my cheeks, but beneath them for the first time I felt a spark of strength. Tyler thought I was weak. Helpless. A burden. But he was wrong. Because I was ready to fight back. Sunday morning I was watering the roses when a car pulled into the driveway. My heart sank as I recognized the same woman in a blazer. Ms. Lane, the realtor. Tyler jumped out behind her, grinning like a salesman. Grandma. I thought it would be good for Ms. Lane to come back. Just one more look, that's all. My stomach tightened. I told you, Tyler, I am not selling. He flashed a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Don't be dramatic. She's just evaluating. Right, Ms. Lane? The realtor gave me a polite nod, but her eyes slid quickly over the house, calculating. As they walked inside, I trailed behind, fists clenched. Tyler opened doors, pointed at the high ceilings, bragged about the spacious master suite. This will fetch top dollar, Ms. Lane said. If you list soon, you'll have offers within days. Tyler glanced at me, his grin widening. See, Grandma? It's practically guaranteed. I steadied my voice. This house is not for sale. Ms. Lane shifted uncomfortably, but Tyler pressed on. Grandma, don't make this harder. You're holding us both back. That night after Ms. Lane left, Tyler slammed the door and spun on me. What's wrong with you? He snapped. Do you want to waste away in this crumbling old place? You're being selfish. Tears burned my eyes, but I held my ground. Selfish? For wanting to keep the home your grandfather built. He leaned close, his voice a hiss. If you won't sign willingly, maybe I'll find another way. You can't stop me forever. I slipped my hand into my pocket, pressing the button on the recorder Laura had given me. His words, sharp and threatening, filled the device. The next morning, I met Laura at her office, my hands trembling as I handed over the recorder. She pressed play, listening as Tyler's voice filled the room. If you won't sign willingly, maybe I'll find another way. Laura's eyes narrowed. That's it. Between this and the papers, we have enough to get authorities involved. My heart raced. You mean, arrest him? She nodded firmly. Elder coercion, attempted fraud. But we need to let him show just how far he'll go. If he tries to drag you to sign papers, don't resist. Call me. I'll be ready. That evening, Tyler tried a softer tactic. He made spaghetti, poured me a glass of wine, even pulled out an old photo album. Remember this, Grandma? He asked, pointing to a picture of him as a boy with George. I've always loved this house. I just think it's time to move on. I forced a smile. You sound like you're rehearsing. For a moment his face hardened, then softened again. I'm only thinking about our future. But I knew the truth now. His future didn't include me, only my house. That night I sat in the quiet, the roses swaying outside, Robert's photo watching over me. Robert, I whispered, I'm ready now. He thinks he can corner me, but he doesn't know I'm not alone. The shadows stretched long across the room, but for the first time in weeks, I felt something other than fear. I felt resolve. It was Wednesday morning when Tyler appeared in the kitchen, dressed sharper than usual, pressed shirt, polished shoes. Come on, Grandma, he said cheerfully, dangling the car keys. We've got an appointment. I frowned. Appointment for what? He smiled too wide. Just routine paperwork. You'll see. My stomach dropped. This was it, the moment Laura warned me about. I slipped the recorder into my pocket, whispered a silent prayer to Robert and followed him. We drove downtown in silence. Tyler hummed along to the radio, tapping the wheel while my hands twisted in my lap. When we pulled up to a small brick office with a sign reading Notary Public, my heart pounded so hard I thought it might give out. Inside, a woman greeted us with a professional smile. Mr. Parker. Good to see you again. My blood turned cold. Tyler grinned, steering me to a chair. Grandma, this is just to make things easier. No more stress. You'll thank me later. The notary slid a stack of papers across the desk. On top, bold letters read, Quitclaim Deed. My name was typed neatly at the top. Tyler's name below. Just sign here, Mrs. Hayes, the notary said pleasantly. It'll only take a moment. My hands shook as I held the pen. Tyler leaned close, his voice low. Do it, Grandma. Don't make a scene. For a second I saw the little boy who once begged me for cookies before dinner. But the man whispering now wasn't that child. He was someone else entirely, someone willing to erase me with a single signature. Just as I lowered the pen, the office door burst open. Margaret, don't sign. Laura strode in, two uniformed officers at her side. Tyler shot to his feet. What the hell is this? Laura dropped a folder on the desk. Evidence. Recordings of your threats. Copies of forged papers. Enough to prove exactly what you've been doing. The officer stepped forward. Ethan Parker, you're under arrest for attempted fraud and elder abuse. No. Tyler shouted, his face red. She wanted this. She told me. I found my voice, trembling but steady. No, Tyler. I wanted family. I wanted love. But you only wanted my house. My life. And I will not let you take it. His eyes blazed with fury. You'll regret this, Grandma. You'll regret ever crossing me. The officers pulled him back, snapping the cuffs tight. His threats echoed as they dragged him out of the office. When the door shut, silence fell heavy. My hand finally dropped the pen. Laura sat beside me, her tone softer. You did it, Margaret. You stood your ground. If you'd signed, everything would have been gone. Tears blurred my vision. He was my grandson, Laura. My only grandson. She nodded slowly. And he chose greed over love. That's on him, not you. That night, back in my quiet house, I lit a candle by Robert's photo. He's gone, Robert, I whispered. Our grandson. Not dead but lost just the same. I saved the house but I lost him. The flame flickered, shadows stretching across the walls George once built with his own hands. And though I had won, the victory tasted of ashes. The courthouse smelled of dust and polished wood. I sat on a hard wooden bench, hands clenched in my lap, my heart pounding like a drum. Across the aisle sat Tyler, my grandson, in a suit that didn't fit, wrists cuffed. His eyes flicked toward me once, then darted away, filled with anger and something else I couldn't name. Case of State versus Ethan Tyler Parker, the bailiff called. Hearing his full name in that setting made my stomach twist. He was Robert's grandson, my flesh and blood. And yet here we were. The prosecutor laid everything out. The quitclaim deed, the realtor contracts, the notebook with numbers, and most damning of all, the recordings. Laura testified calmly, explaining how Tyler had pressured me, how he'd already begun the process to sell the home behind my back. When it was my turn, I walked to the witness stand, every step heavy. Mrs. Hayes, the attorney asked gently, did your grandson pressure you to sign over your home? My throat tightened. Yes. He told me I was a burden. That if I didn't sign, he'd find another way. He even brought strangers into my house, appraisers and a realtor. He wasn't helping me. He was trying to erase me. Gasps rippled through the room. The defense tried to paint him as a misguided young man, overwhelmed with responsibility. He only wanted to protect his grandmother, his lawyer argued. He feared she couldn't manage alone. But when the recordings played, Tyler's voice, sharp and cruel, you'll sign sooner or later. Don't make this harder than it has to be. The courtroom went silent. No one could excuse that. Not even him. At last, the judge's gavel struck. Ethan Tyler Parker, guilty of attempted fraud, coercion, and elder abuse. Sentenced to 5 years in state prison. The words landed like a blow. 5 years. I glanced at Tyler. For a split second, I saw the boy he once was. The child who chased fireflies in my yard, who called me his hero. Regret flickered in his eyes. Or maybe it was just fear. Then he looked away and the mask of anger returned. When the session ended, Laura guided me outside. You should feel proud, she said softly. You stood up for yourself. You stopped him before he destroyed everything. I nodded, but tears blurred the world. I stopped him, yes. But I also lost him. My grandson. The last of my family. And that's a wound no verdict can heal. Back home, the house felt both safe and unbearably empty. The roses outside still bloomed, their petals drifting on the breeze. The porch creaked under my steps just as it always had. I sat at the kitchen table, Robert's photo in front of me. I saved the house, Robert, I whispered. But it cost me our grandson. I don't know how to live with that. The candle beside his picture flickered, its flame steady even as my tears fell. And I realized the trial had ended, but my grief was only beginning. The days after the trial were quiet. Too quiet. For the first time in months, I didn't have Tyler pacing the halls, making calls in hushed tones, or tossing his jacket over the chair. The house was mine again. Safe. But the silence pressed down on me like a weight I couldn't shake. Every creak of the floor reminded me of his footsteps. Every empty chair reminded me of what I'd lost. Not the house. I had saved that. But my grandson, my blood, was gone to me. One afternoon, Mrs. Carter stopped by with a casserole, her eyes full of kindness. You look so tired, Margaret. You need to eat. I smiled faintly. I try. But food doesn't taste the same anymore. She sat across from me, her hands folded. You did the right thing. Don't you forget that. I know, I whispered. But knowing doesn't make it hurt less. Her eyes softened. No, it doesn't. But hurt means you still care. And that's what makes you human. Laura visited too. She stood in my kitchen, flipping through the last of the paperwork. It's all done, she said. The contracts are void. No more tricks. The house is legally protected now. I nodded, relief and sorrow tangled in my chest. Thank you, Laura. For everything. She gave me a small smile. You were braver than you think, Margaret. Remember that. In the weeks that followed, I tried to find a rhythm again. I planted new roses in the garden, though my hands ached. Each bloom felt like a promise to Robert, that I was still here, still fighting. Neighbors waved when I walked to the market. Some whispered pity in their eyes. Others nodded with quiet respect. At night, I lit a candle by Robert's photo and whispered, "I saved it, Robert. Our home." But I couldn't save him. The flame flickered, steady and fragile like my own heart. One evening, as the sun dipped low and the shadows stretched long across the porch, Mrs. Carter asked me softly, "Do you think you'll ever forgive him?" I stared at the roses swaying in the wind. "Maybe," I said slowly. "Not today. Not tomorrow. But someday. Because if I don't, the bitterness will take what's left of me. And I've already lost enough." She nodded, her eyes misty. I leaned back, breathing in the cool evening air, the house standing strong behind me. It was still mine. Robert's porch. Robert's roses. My life, my memories. And though my heart ached with loss, I felt a glimmer of peace. Not happiness. Not yet. But the beginning of it. I whispered into the dusk, "I will survive. For you, Robert. For me. For whatever time I have left." The candlelight in the window glowed softly. And for the first time in a long while I believed it.